Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 493 based on novel. So let's start. In a trance, Wang Lin looked to the fire, but he was interrupted by the sound of swallowing saliva. He looked around to see the middle-aged man not far away looking at the dried food in his hand. The middle-aged man constantly licked his lips and revealed a pitiful look. Looking at the man, Wang Lin smiled. At this moment, he didn't feel like the middle-aged man was a stranger, he just felt pity. Here you go. Wang Lin took out dried food from his bamboo backpack and passed it to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's eyes widened, and after swallowing his saliva, he rushed over. He grabbed the dried food and devoured it in just 2 bites. Delicious, delicious. This king hasn't eaten for several days. Eh? Why do I call myself king? The middle-aged man frozen for a moment and shook his head. He no longer thought about it and looked pitifully at Wang Lin. Wang Lin took out a few more pieces of dried food and handed them over. He softly asked, "What's your name? Why are you here? Where is your family?" The middle-aged man gave him an unspeakable reason. The more he made contact with this middle-aged man, the stronger the feeling became. It was as if they knew each other before, and now there was a feeling of guilt in his heart. The middle-aged man took the dried food and was about to eat. He was startled by Wang Lin's words and then began to cry as he looked at the dried food in his hand. "I don't know what my name is. When I woke up, I was in the mountains. I can't think of anything. Golden light, I remember waking up surrounded by golden light and a lot of people trying to catch up. HMPH, but they can't find me." The middle-aged man cried and his voice became blurry. Wang Lin's gaze became even more gentle. Seeing the man devouring his dried food, which he didn't have much of left, in a few bites again, he shook his head and smiled. He then took out his water pouch and handed it to the madman. The middle-aged man drank a few big mouthfuls and then let out a hiccup. He looked at the smiling Wang Lin and handed over the chicken leg he had in his hand. "Here you go, this chicken leg is not tasty anymore." Wang Lin smiled and took the chicken leg. He didn't eat it but wrapped it and placed it inside his backpack. The rain outside the temple became even heavier, with the thunder rumbling and lightning flashing. The temple's door continued to swing with the wind and would sometimes hit the wall. Aside from the creaking sounds, there was now also the sound of the door banging on the wall. The entire world became dark, with only the fire in the temple leaking out. It was a faint light in this dark world. Wang Lin and the middle-aged man sat next to the fire. Warmth slowly appeared within their wet clothes. Wang Lin looked at the fire and softly said, "Perhaps it's good to not know who you are. Sometimes even if you know who you are, you can't help but think you're in someone else's dream. I have been dreaming a lot lately, and that dream is so real, I can't separate it from reality." The middle-aged man drank a mouthful of water and murmured as he shook his head. "Says who? Try to think of how painful it is not knowing who you are. HMPH, if it was me, it wouldn't matter if it was a dream, as long as I'm happy. As long as I'm happy, it's all good." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. The man's words touched him. "As long as I'm happy, then it's all good. My dream is to pass the imperial examen so that my parents can have a good life and not be looked down upon by our relatives." Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time and then nodded. Wang Lin looked up. He put more dried branches into the fire and asked, "What are you? What are your dreams?" The middle-aged man yawned and seemed sleepy. When he heard Wang Lin, he suddenly became spirited and began speaking excitedly. "Me, I have many dreams. I want a lot of spirit stones. I want a lot of silver. I want a lot of delicious food." As he spoke, he swallowed. "What is a spirit stone?" Wang Lin was startled. "Spirit stone? I said spirit stone, but what is spirit stone?" The middle-aged man was also startled. He scratched his head and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit and then smiled. He didn't question more and began to talk with the madman. The two of them seemed to have endless words to say to each other. The madman was originally sleepy, but the more he spoke, the more excited he became. He didn't know why, but Wang Lin gave him a warming feeling, like a relative. The wind outside howled and would occasionally blow into the temple, causing the fire to flicker. It would also bring in a chill, but it no longer made the two of them feel cold. Even the elusive smile from the statue behind them slowly softened. A sense of warmth shrouded the temple and dispersed the coldness here. It was late into the night, but not only had the rain not stopped, it had become even stronger. The fire before Wang Lin slowly weakened because dried branches weren't added, so it seemed like it could go out at any moment. I'll tell you a secret. I have never told this secret to anyone else, the middle-aged man said to Wang Lin mysteriously. Wang Lin looked at him and nodded with a smile. He revealed a look of interest. The middle-aged man stretched out his right hand before Wang Lin. Look here. What do you see? The middle-aged man pointed at his right wrist and became even more smug. However, aside from it being dirty, there was nothing there. Wang Lin looked at it for a while and bitterly shook his head. Eh, you can't see anything? Impossible, wait and let me go wash. The middle-aged man quickly ran to some water in the temple and watched his right arm. Then he returned to Wang Lin, raised his right hand again, and mysteriously whispered, "You see it now." Wang Lin's expression turned strange and he shook his head again. He indeed didn't see anything. The middle-aged man became furious and roared at Wang Lin. "Take a closer look, widen your eyes and take a look. You. How can you not see? You liar, you clearly see it." Wang Lin rubbed his forehead and held the middle-aged man's right hand before his eyes. After looking for a bit, he smiled and nodded, "I see it, I indeed see it. I'm good, right? HMPH, I'm going to find this person. He should know me." The middle-aged man sat on the side and looked at his arm. He slowly went into a daze. "I need to find him. I faintly have a feeling that he promised to take care of me. He promised to take me to play, but he left. No one is left to care about me. I'm the only one left. I'm going to find him. I have to find him." As he muttered, his expression dimmed and he curled up as he looked at his arm. His voice grew weaker until he fell asleep. Wang Lin let out a sigh and got up to take out a thick cloth. Not caring that the middle-aged man was dirty, Wang Lin placed his cloth over him. This seemed to disturb the middle-aged man, who grabbed the cloth and turned before falling back to sleep. His right arm was facing Wang Lin. Wang Lin sat next to the fire and watched the gradually weakening flames. He silently pondered in this silent temple with the rain still falling outside. His heart was no longer confused. Dreams were only dreams, nothing would change. Even if this was just a dream, he was still going to be happy, he was still going to walk forward with determination. Let's just say that dream is my other life. Although that life was wonderful and even magnificent, the sadness and loneliness from that dream makes one's heart ache. Wang Lin seemed to gain an understanding of some things. At this moment, the fire dimmed and completely extinguished. The smoke rose and darkness shrouded the temple once more. Wang Lin leaned against the pillar and was about to sleep while the middle-aged man snored. Just as he was about to close his eyes suddenly widened and he turned to look at the middle-aged man. Now that the temple was dark, there was a faint, golden light coming from the middle-aged man. This light came from his wrist, where there was a faint palm print. It was as if an invisible hand had grabbed the madman's right wrist and left this print. Looking at the palm print, a very familiar feeling appeared in Wang Lin's heart. He was startled for a long time and then looked at his own hand. However, the palm print was blurry, so it was impossible to make out. Wang Lin was startled for a long time and then shook his head. The rain fell all night and didn't stop until dawn. The fragrance of the earth permeated the world and drifted into the temple. One night, no dream. Wang Lin opened his eyes and stretched his body. Looking at the sky outside the temple, he stretched his stiff body. He looked at the middle-aged man, who was still snoring. The middle-aged man's right arm had returned to normal, the golden palm print could no longer be seen. Hiding the doubt in the bottom of his heart, Wang Lin packed his clothes and changed into a clean outfit. He then pushed the middle-aged man a few times. Seeing the middle-aged man wake up, he clasped his hands and smiled. Our meeting last night can considered fate. My name is Wang Lin. I still have to take the imperial exam if we can. As Wang Lin was speaking, he stopped. The madman had his head lowered and looked crestfallen. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin kept 1 day of dried food and took out the rest. He placed it before the madman and whispered, I need to go, you can definitely find that person, definitely. Somehow, he felt relucent. He looked at the middle-aged man before letting out a sigh and heading out of the temple. However, before he walked out of the door, he heard the madman cry. They all left me. He left and you left. No one cares about me. Wang Lin's footsteps stopped and he looked at the sky outside. After a moment, he turned around and looked at the crying middle-aged man inside the temple. He softly said, I'm missing a book, boy. 1. You're a bit old, but it should be no problem. At this moment, Wang Lin didn't know that what he had said was like a reincarnation cycle. Back when he first saw the madman, he faintly felt like he had seen him before. It was back in the human trial in the Fallen Land, where he saw another version of himself and the housekeeper-like book boy. That person held the wine and was constantly worried about the money for the wine. 1. Kinda like a servant. Like there are a lot of different servant types where the title is just a related subject plus boy. They help the person with the related subject and is also their student in a way, as they get knowledge of the subject in return. At this time, there were a lot of scholars from villages, towns, and cities all over the country of Zhao heading to the capital for the imperial exam. They were alone, like Wang Lin, or in groups 3 to 5, heading to the 49 province capitals. Only after passing this exam could they head to the city of Su to take the second exam. The city of Su had become famous due to one person. His name was Su Dao, the country of Zhao's head scholar. His existence had caused the city of Su to become the capital of scholars in the country of Zhao. The person that stood out the most in the exam in the city of Su would become the chosen Su. All the chosen Sus would go to the capital of Zhao, where they would either soar into the sky or quietly leave. Wang Lin walked along the road, carrying the expectations from his parents and his own vision of the future. Behind him was the middle-aged man, now wearing new clothes. He had a bamboo backpack on his back and he hummed a song he had heard in some unknown place. He looked very relaxed. The sky was grey, but there was no rain. However, the trace of water on the official road gave off a chilly aura. The soil and water seemed to fuse together, making the path very muddy. Originally, it would only take a bit over half a day to reach the city, but Wang Lin and the middle-aged man didn't see the city until dusk. The sunset released bursts of orange light that pierced through the clouds and landed on the city. At a glance, it gave off the sense of a road leading to the end. Finally here. Wang Lin let out a big breath and wiped away the sweat on his forehead. Along the way, he had experienced a lot of things. Thinking back, even he found it very strange. Big fortune, the city is ahead of us. We are going to stay there for a while. Wang Lin smiled and looked at the book boy behind him. I don't like that name, the middle-aged man shook his head with a bitter expression. I think it's very good, that name is good. Wang Lin laughed and led Big Fortune to the city gate. After taking out the token he got from the village, they were examined by the soldiers and allowed inside. Although it was dusk, the city was still lively. There were many people on the street, they were scholars that had come from all over for the exam. Wang Lin arrived a bit late, so he and Big Fortune didn't find any open rooms even after checking 4 or 5 inns. Seeing the sky become darker and darker, Wang Lin became anxious. Luckily, the last inn had 1 empty room. Although the price was a bit high, thunder started rumbling across the sky. The rain that had stopped showed signs of appearing once more. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and had Big Fortune take out the silver. Big Fortune took out the silver he had been holding for Wang Lin. His heart ached as he took out a bit and unwillingly handed it over while muttering to himself. Not much silver. Heartache. I seem to have experienced something before and know that silver is very important. As he muttered, the waiter looked at Wang Lin and the middle-aged man with scorn. He lazily led them to the guest room. He had seen many scholars like Wang Lin. Some were generous and others were very poor like Wang Lin. Wang Lin had a simple personality. Although he had noticed the waiter's expression, he didn't take it to heart. The room wasn't big, but it was suitable for 2 people. However, a musty smell wafted out of the room when the door was opened, causing Wang Lin to frown. This kind of smell was unavoidable in this season unless it was a very good inn. After eating some simple food, Wang Lin lied on the bed with his cloth and looked at the oil lamp on the table. He could hear Big Fortune's loud snoring. The bedding gave off a sense of moisture, and it was very uncomfortable to lie in. After tossing around for a long time, Wang Lin still couldn't sleep, so he got up with a sigh. Big Fortune continued to snore as Wang Lin sat down at the table. He took out a book and began reading using the lamp on the table. As he read, thunder rumbled in the sky and lightning flashed. This thunder was very intense. This thunder didn't dissipate but lasted for a long time. The continuous rumbles awakened many people in the city. The wind blew even more strongly, making it seem as if the sky above the city was torn open. Endless wind howled and swept the earth. Large amounts of muddy sand were blown into the air and rain continued to hit the window of every home. Popping sounds came from the window in Wang Lin's room as if the wind was going to break through. Wang Lin wasn't able to focus on reading. He frowned and raised his head. Just at this moment, the window was suddenly violently pushed open by the wind. The 2 shutters started to hit the frame around them. The gusts of wind also brought in water through the window. The fire on the table was extinguished and the room went dark. Wang Lin's hair was blown by the wind and even his clothes fluttered violently. As the rain and wind invaded the room, even the book in Wang Lin's hand was almost blown away. Wang Lin exclaimed and quickly got up. He faced the wind and walked up to the window to close it. Just as he got close, thunderous rumbles echoed. It seemed like this violent sound was coming from the window, which shook Wang Lin's mind. Just at this moment, a bolt of lightning flashed before Wang Lin. A bright light flashed, shrouding the sleeping city. At this moment, Wang Lin saw a small portion of the city in the dark night. When he saw this, he was startled. He saw the white bird that he had seen in his dream on the way here. The white bird circled amidst the wind and thunder. It seemed to notice Wang Lin's gaze. The white bird looked at Wang Lin. At this moment, their gazes met. The thunder became even more intense and lightning flashed non-stop. As the sky flickered with the light from the lightning, Wang Lin's mind rumbled. He remained still, feeling as if some thoughts were slowly gathering in his mind. These thoughts eventually turned into a blurry voice. That voice was filled with confusion and sounded ancient. It echoed inside Wang Lin's mind. Karma. What is karma? Karma, what is it? Wind blew into the window and continued to hit Wang Lin's body. He stood in front of the window and allowed the wind to hit him, the rain to fall, the thunder to rumble, the lightning to flash. In his eyes, everything in the world beside that white bird had disappeared. The bird flapped its wings and turned into a ray of light that charged toward Wang Lin. It closed in an instant and landed on the window. It closed its wings and silently looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin looked at it for a long time. Wang Lin murmured, "Is it you talking to me?" Karma, what is it? Confusion appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. The bird looked profoundly at Wang Lin before it flew off the window. It circled a few times in the sky before letting out a cry and disappearing into the dark clouds. Although it had left, the thunder in the sky continued to rumble. As the rumbles became even more intense, they seemed to disturb Wang Lin's thoughts. He subconsciously frowned and pointed outside with this finger. With this, there was flash of thunder in his right eye. As the mark flashed, the thunder in the sky stopped. It was as if there was a will beyond the thunder that caused it to retreat. It was as if this will was the king of thunder and could control endless thunder. If it wanted the thunder to retreat, the thunder had to retreat. Even the endless lightning seemed to have extinguished with this point of his finger. Even wind collapsed before this finger and was pushed back. Along with it went the rain. The rain seemed to have a spirit, and it was terrified. In the blink of an eye, the rain stopped. What stopped was only the rain above the city. Under the pressure the will that was like the king of thunder, all the rain in the country of Zhao seemed to stop. The thunder collapsed, the lightning shattered, and the dark clouds dissipated. There were cultivators flying in the sky of Zhao, including Wang Shui, Xu Fei, Zhu Rui, and company. They had been flying in the rain, but they were all shocked and terrified at this moment. Before him was an old man. The old man looked back, an endless shock filled his eyes. This aura. My God, what kind of cultivation level is this? In the other side of Zhao, two rays of light appeared when the dark clouds collapsed, revealing a man and a woman. The woman was Liu Mai. Her face was pale and she looked back with confusion in her eyes. The expression of the man next to her changed greatly and he almost exclaimed out loud. Also in the country of Zhao, in the city of Teng, the Teng family nascent soul old monster, Teng Huiyuan, was cultivating. At this moment, he opened his eyes upon feeling something frightening. At the peak of the Hengyu sect, there was an old man in a yellow robe looking at the sky and frowning. He was Huang Long, but at this moment, his expression was very serious. His hand continued to form seals until it trembled and blood flowed out from his nails. His eyes revealed a strange color, as if he didn't dare to believe it. This? How is this possible? In a place far away on planet Suzaku, there was a strong sect. This sect was strong enough to sweep across all rank 5 countries. This sect was filled with souls, and the howling of ghosts echoed. From a distance, it looked like a giant flag. There was a person sitting in the sky filled with souls. He was a middle-aged man, and he was Dun Tian's senior brother. I can't find it. This old man has divinated 37 times and hasn't succeeded once. Could it be that my soul-refining sect really has no hope left? Could it be that my soul-refining sect has no chance of rising again, no chance of continuing on? The middle-aged man seemed to go crazy and began to laugh. However, just at this moment, his expression changed and he looked into the distance. Eh? His eyes narrowed and his hands formed a seal. He began divinating like crazy. The man's expression changed rapidly. He consumed large amounts of life force and divinated 9 times, but the result of all 9 times were the same. This was an unbelievable and even absurd result to him. While pondering, his body flickered and he disappeared without a trace. He used teleportation and charged toward the country of Zhao. In a city inside Zhao, the world had become peaceful. In the second floor of an inn, Wang Lin stood before the window and his murmurs echoed. Karma, what is? Karma. The night slowly passed. Wang Lin unknowingly returned to the table and stared at the extinguished candlestick in a daze. That voice continued to echo in his mind until it replaced everything. He had forgotten to close the window. There was no wind or rain anymore. The sun rose into the sky and light shined on the earth. The people that got up were surprised to find that the dark clouds that had shrouded them for over half a month had all disappeared. The bright sky had no cloud as far as the eye could see. The sunlight gently shined on their bodies and gave people vitality once more. It seemed the summer had come a bit early this year. It seemed the rainy season had left a bit early this year. Big Fortune also awakened. He rubbed his eyes and looked at the sky outside the window. He immediately smiled, pointed out the window proudly, and began to roar. I had a dream last night. With a point of my finger, the thunder stopped. Ha ha, look how powerful I am. HMPH, it seems I'm indeed not ordinary. It is a pity. Wang Lin's thoughts became hidden in his mind when the sun appeared. He hadn't slept all night, but he didn't feel tired. However, a swelling pain came from between his eyebrows. He rubbed his brow and looked at Big Fortune. After seeing the smile on Big Fortune, he felt happy as well. You powerful. It was your dream that caused the thunderstorm to disappear, okay? Big Fortune became excited and felt even more proud. Time quickly passed. The county imperial exam would be held in 5 days. All the scholars that had come to take the exam waited for these 5 days to pass. On the morning of the 6th day, the sky was still sunny and all the scholars rushed out from the various inns toward the different exam grounds. During these 5 days, Wang Lin had gone to the office to submit his entry and find his exam location. Other than that, he didn't leave his inn at all. He spent all his time reading. He was very nervous because if he passed, he could continue, but if he failed, he would have to start from the beginning. He would have to return to the village and silently wait for a few years before another test began. Wang Lin didn't want to fail. He couldn't bear to see his parents' disheartened expressions. He didn't want his failure to cause his relatives to give his parents those fake comforting gazes that were in actually mocking them. Big Fortune was suffocated during these 5 days. He was very active and had gone out by himself while Wang Lin was studying. He wandered the city and gradually met some people. He managed to learn to be even more stingy. On the 6th day, Wang Lin bathed and burned some incense. He then changed into a white scholar robe and let out a sigh of relief. He put on the bamboo backpack and walked toward the exam ground. He was going to the 3rd exam ground that was on the west side of the city. The street was very lively and stalls filled both sides of the road. The stalls had been set out early so the students taking the exam could buy food. At a glance, there were many scholars rushing toward the exam locations. They were in a rush, worried, or very nervous. Even when eating, they would often devour the food in a few bites and quickly leave. Wang Lin took a few deep breaths and slowly calmed himself. After eating a few buns, he arrived outside the exam area with Big Fortune. There were many people here, but there was no noise. Most people had their eyes closed, recalling what they had read. 2 officials wearing robes coldly looked at the scholars. Because of them, there was a dignified atmosphere here. Wang Lin calmly stood there as he looked at the exam area, and he gradually calmed down. Big Fortune looked around a lot, but the more he looked, the more gloomy he became. He saw that the other book boys were all a lot younger than him. In comparison, he was out of place. After muttering a few words, Big Fortune took out some buns and took some big bites. Shortly after, the exam arrived. A bell chime seemed to come from the distance and echoed across the entire city. It was a heavy sound. The moment the bell rang, all the scholars opened their eyes and their expressions turned serious. The tension instantly reappeared. One of the officials rolled his eyes and slowly said, "Enter the exam room. If anyone has notes, get rid of them yourself. Don't be found later and get disqualified." After the scholar entered the exam room, everyone was searched. After making sure there were no notes, they were allowed in. When it was Wang Lin's turn, it was the same. After examining his bamboo backpack, they allowed him to enter. Big Fortune waved his hands at Wang Lin and began to roar. Even though the surrounding people frowned at him and looked at him with disdain, he didn't care. Wang Lin smiled and waved at Big Fortune outside before heading in. After finding the seat with his name, Wang Lin calmly sat down and paid attention to the inspector of the exam. Once all the scholars sat down, they turned over their exams and became focused. Only when the inspector took out the sealed exam paper did the sounds of writing start to echo across the room. Wang Lin calmly grinded ink and looked at the blank paper before him. He didn't write for a long time. The exam would last for a whole day, giving people plenty of time to think. The people that were meditating like Wang Lin had collected their thoughts and began to write. Soon, Wang Lin was the only one who was still pondering. The subject of this test was a painting. The painting was very simple. There was a mountain with a single tree on top. There seemed to be wind causing the tree to shake. There were a few sketches under the mountain. It seemed like there was a family guarding the mountain. The intent of this painting was very clear. It basically meant that ability was the pillar. All the other scholars knew this, and the essays they wrote all revolved around this. However, when Wang Lin saw the painting, the voice from 5 days ago appeared once more. Karma. What is it? Karma. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, it was noon. Some people were already finished writing. They held up their papers and blew on them to dry the rest of the ink. Their faces were filled with joy as they shook their heads and began to mediate. Only Wang Lin was still silently sitting there with confusion in his eyes and still hadn't written anything. This kind of thing was rare, and the inspectors couldn't help but pay more attention to Wang Lin. People gradually began to leave the exam ground. Some were proud and some looked crestfallen. They either left alone or with their book boys. The sun began to set and the exam room became dark. There wasn't much time left, only half an hour. The last scholar aside from Wang Lin got up with a sigh. He looked at Wang Lin and shook his head before leaving. If you can't do it, then leave quickly. Don't waste our time. An inspector frowned as he walked next to Wang Lin and knocked on the table. Wang Lin didn't look up but closed his eyes. A few moments later, he opened his eyes and added some water to his ink. His eyes shined brightly and he began to quickly write on the paper. What is karma? I seek a wooden house, but this mountain has no wood, so I plant this lone tree. During sunrise, I harvest the branches. During midday, I harvest the wood. And during sunset, I harvest the roots. Wang Lin seemed to have forgotten what was going on in his surroundings as the ancient voice echoed around him. The painting filled his mind as he wrote down his thoughts and questions. Eh? The inspector standing beside Wang Lin looked at this paper and was startled before taking a closer look. Soon, more inspectors were attracted and came to look. Some scoffed at a glance and left. Soon, the remaining inspectors all shook their heads and walked away. What is karma? Planting the tree is karmic cause and harvesting the wood is karmic effect. The day the house took form, it also became a karmic cycle. Wang Lin put down his pen and looked at it deeply. The brightness in his eyes dissipated and was replaced with confusion. He sighed as he clasped his hands at the last elderly inspector. He then cleaned up his stuff and left the exam area. After he left, the old inspector picked up Wang Lin's paper and carefully read it again. He seemed to enter a trance and gained some enlightenment. He remembered Wang Lin's name on the paper. This kind of insight into karma came from a teenager? This person might not become a pillar of the courts, but he will become great scholar. The old inspector pondered for a long time before circling Wang Lin's name. Wang Lin walked out of the exam area. He spotted Big Fortune, who had been waiting all day and had fallen asleep leaning against a tree. He smiled and was about to wake him up when the world suddenly darkened. There seemed to be a ghostly howl, and the darkness shrouded Wang Lin and Big Fortune. It seemed to separate them from the rest of the city. A middle-aged man wearing a black robe walked out of the black wind. A cold aura filled his body as he looked at Wang Lin. This old man won't hurt you, you only have to answer one question. He was the soul refining sect's Dun Tian's senior brother. Almost all the scholars in this country had been found by him, and he had asked them the same question. Then he erased their memories in disappointment and searched for the next person. This video will end here.